She has no one in the world but me. This is what I call insurance policy.
Welcome to Prism of Torah with Rabbi Aharon Prisman, engaging Divrei Torah packed with stories and practical insights. Find us wherever you get your podcasts or at prismoftorah.org.
Shalom uvracha. In this week's Parsha for Bnei Yisrael, Parshas Chukas, I think there are two treasures hidden in this Parsha that I found this year. One is thanks to my dear friend Rabbi Prisman, and I want to share them with you. And it goes like this. We know in Parshas Chukas, the Heilige Aharon HaKohen passes away in a place called Horahar. Question number one is, in the pasukim it says that indeed Aharon passed away in Horahar, and after it mentions the first time Horahar, that Bnei Yisrael went, in pasuk Kaf Beis, it says that Bnei Yisrael went from Kadesh and they came to Horahar. The pasuk didn't feel like it needs to tell us where Horahar is, but the next pasuk that says that Hashem told Moshe and Aaron, I want you to go to Horahar, and that's where Aaron is going to be taken away from us. It says over there, and by the way, you know where Horahar is? Al Gvul Eretz Edom, on the border with the sons of Eisav, which is the nation of Edom. And Rashi feels the question, and he asks himself, why is it that the Torah only in the second pasuk tells us this piece of information, where Horahar is? It seems like that is what bothered Rashi. And Rashi answers us, as he's quoting the Tanchuma, and he tells us, I'll tell you why. Because over here, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is teaching us the reason that Aaron passed away is because we were on the border, a figure of speech, together with Eisav's generations, and we tried to mingle with them and to get close to them, and that is the reason that Aaron passed away. We shouldn't have been connecting to them. We should have kept our distance and demarcate ourselves from them. However, the basic question that begs itself is the following. Only two psukim later, or even one pasuk later, it says that in the pasuk itself, that the reason Aaron was taken away is because the whole incident with Mei Merivah, that Aaron and Moshe, they went to the rock, and instead of speaking to the rock to bring water to the Jewish people that were crying for water, they hit the rock. And on their level, that was a sin, and hence Aaron was taken away because of that reason. So which reason is it? And how can Rashi bring a Tanchuma, that the Midrash Tanchuma says something that seems to be contradictory to the pasuk? That is the major question we want to deal with. But before we answer that question, I want to share with you another interesting shaila, not a kasha, not a bomb question, but a very cute question. Rav Yaakov Galinsky brings the following question. He says, we know that when Aaron passed away, which is mamish in this parsha that we're talking about, it was a very nice passing away. He goes to the bed, the candle's lit, everything's fine, and Hashem takes him in a very easy way. However, we see that when Bnei Yisrael saw what happened and realized what happened, in pasuk Kaftes, it says, and everyone saw that Aaron was taken away, and they all cried, Kol Beis Yisrael, all the Jewish nation. Rashi comes from a place that he compares that to Moshe's passing away. It doesn't say everyone was crying. A lot of people are crying, but it doesn't say everyone. It doesn't say all the men, all the women, etc. And Rashi brings the Midrash over there, the Midrash Tanchuma, and the Midrash Tanchuma explains, you know why they were all crying? Because Aaron was a peacemaker. He even said white lies in order to ensure there'll be peace between a man and his wife, a man and his fellow friend. He went to each one, and this is exactly what the Midrash says. He told each one, you know, your friend really feels awful. He feels he's to blame. He really wants to be friends with you again. And he said that to both sides. Beautiful. That's why everyone is crying and is going to miss him so much. The obvious question is, come on, how can it be that no one picked up on what he was doing? And I'll explain the question. The question is that surely there were some fights, some quarrels, where one person deep in his heart knew, I am totally to blame over here. So did it not occur at least a couple of times out of these tens of thousands of times that Aharon HaKohen was doing this? That a person said, wait a second, he's telling me the other person agrees he's to blame? But I know the truth, I'm to blame. Aharon, what are you talking about? How come that never happened? And Rabbi Yaakov Galinsky says a beautiful answer. He says, there's a pasuk in Mishlei that says the following, Kol derech ish yashar beinav. Every person is sure he is right. And there's another pasuk in Mishlei saying, Kol darkei ish zach beinav. Each person is pure. He feels like he's 100% pure in the way he's going. And he explains the following. He says, of course, if we look into it and analyze it, surely there's a person that's more to blame than the other. But everyone really believes he is not 100% to blame. There is blame also on the other side. And of course, everyone thinks it's only because of him that this whole thing happened. Perhaps in an absolute way of thinking, a third party will tell you who's a bit more to blame. But everyone has a bit of blame. It takes two to tango. In order for there to be a true quarrel, there must have been that something, even a little bit, was wrong on the other side. And that's why Aharon was never caught, says Rabbi Yaakov Galinsky. Based on this, we understand that it's thanks to the sensitivity that Aharon had for each side and made them each feel that he's with them. And they really bought into it, because every person really thinks that if it wasn't for what the other side did, I would have been okay. Not that any side thinks he's perfect, but he definitely thinks I'm perfect in my eyes. And yeah, if it wasn't for what he did, nothing of this would have started. And there's a bit of truth to that. Mimele Aharon was able, with that sensitivity and the smartness he had, he was able to make every side feel he's with them. And that's how he was able to mashpia and to affect people and bring shalom to the world. So now we understand how unbelievable what Aharon did and how everyone felt that they're close to him and they really liked him. Based on this, now we can move on to answer the big bomb kasha that Ravitzi Svei showed me. And this is brought down by the Sfas Emes. And he says the following. He says, there's a huge difference between when HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Melech Malchei HaMelachim, judges us as opposed to a human being judging another human being. When a human being is a judge, he can only judge based on the outcome of what's going to happen to the defendant. What is the best punishment for him to meet his crime? And even that, he doesn't really know what's 100% true as opposed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as the pasuk in Tehillim says, Mishpatei Hashem emet tzadku yachdav. His judgments are righteous together. What does together mean? The Ibn Ezra over there says they're righteous as a whole. When you look at the across the board ripple effect of what the judgment for this defendant's going to be, what's going to be the output, the effect? If a person gets taken to jail, for example, what about his kids? What about his wife? Who takes that into consideration? Only HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is also hinted in the pasuk in Dvarim, Perek Lamed Beis, pasuk Daled. Hatzur tamim po'alo kichol drachav mishpat. Parshas Azinu. The Sifri says, this literally means HaKadosh Baruch Hu ensures that all his ways are just. What does that mean, all his ways are just? That means that even if he gives a punishment to a certain person, he ensures that it's the right thing, that whatever pain that will come out of it will come to other people. That will also be true. Be it because the other people need to atone for their sins, and hence it's fitting that they get that pain, or maybe it's the right opportunity to give them a nisayon, a test in life, that will help them reach a higher level. The chiddush is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's way of judging, he takes all parameters into consideration before giving a punishment. Based on this, we can answer our question, says the Sfas Emes. He says that the pasuk was saying why Aharon deserved on his high level to get punished and taken away for the incident of the Mei Merivah, for hitting the rock instead of speaking to the rock. However, that still doesn't justify why Klal Yisrael, that felt so connected to Aharon, that he did so good for everyone, how come they deserve to lose out on him? And that's exactly what Rashi is coming to tell us, that he quotes the Midrash. He says the reason though they deserve to lose him, because they were trying to mingle and connect to Eisav. And that's why it's important to mention they were on the border with Edom. And by the way, the cherry on top of this piece is the way Rashi is saying it. if you look carefully, Rashi doesn't say the reason Aharon passed away. That's what the pasuk is saying. Rashi is saying the following. He's saying, Magid, it's telling us, the fact that we're on the border with Edom, because the Jewish people tried to connect to Eisav and his offspring, as a result, they lost out on having a tzaddik. They lost out on having a tzaddik, meaning that is the reason why it was also fitting that this punishment that Aharon was taken away was fitting that the Jewish people would lose out on Aharon. From here we can learn a Mordecai lesson. Look how important and vital it is for a person to have a positive effect on many circles of people. If you're needed at work because you help other people, you need it for chesed, you help other people, you teach people Torah, people are dependent on you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to have to mechashben and recalculate everything. Is it fitting to do something bad to this person? Look how many people are dependent on him. Mimele, that is the best security net to protect us from any bad thing happening. Even if it's mitoch shelo lishma. Of course, these things are amazing things to do on its own account. But look what benefit we get, a ripple effect benefit. So there we go. We've answered all our questions, and we understand why there's no contradictory between what Rashi says, the reason Aharon was taken away, and what the pasuk is saying. I would like to end off with the story as told by Rav Mei Merivah. He said that during the Shiva, a man named Mordechai Hershkowitz, who was sitting Shiva for his wife, and the phone suddenly rang. It was her doctor, a man who was not religious to say the least. He called because he wanted to say that Mrs. Hershkowitz taught him something he could never forget, that there is a God in the world. Years earlier, when she was first diagnosed with cancer, which was exceptionally aggressive, the doctor told her gently, listen, honestly, I like to be honest with my patients, you have 6 weeks to live. And he said her reaction, she was not shaken at all, without a flinch. She said, I'm not really worried, to be honest. I have an insurance policy. The doctor said, I gave her a look. There's no such thing as insurance policy when it comes to these things. And she said, listen, I have an elderly sick mother living in my home. She has no one in the world but me. This is what I call insurance policy. Indeed, she did not die in 6 weeks. She lived on for around 4 to 5 years, caring for her mother. After those 4 or 5 years that her mother lived on, the mother passed away. And then exactly 6 weeks later, she also returned her soul to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mrs. Hershkowitz, says the doctor, is someone that taught me what belief means, what believing in God means. She lived as if it was obvious to her. Everything is run by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What we see from this story is that her life was measured from the start, not only by her own illness, but by the frail soul in her home that she could not leave behind. She understood the secret of the word we're saying today, that the verdict that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives is not the same way a human can give, but is a decree that is not weighed on a single life, but rather across the board with all the ripple effects are taken into account. As it's hinted in the pasuk, tzadku yachdav, that the heavenly judgment is righteous from all perspectives. Only when they are right for everyone they impact. Have a good Shabbos.
This concludes another episode of the Prism of Torah. Thank you for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed it and learned something valuable. If you did, please subscribe to the podcast and give a 5-star rating. You can also find this podcast wherever you get your podcasts or our own website, prismoftorah.com, where we have a full archive of all our past episodes. We would like to thank Yona Vefa for the recording equipment and Eli Podcast Productions for handling all our post-podcast productions. Join us next week for another enlightening conversation on the Prism of Torah.